Hey guys, Crispy here. So just continuing on with the series, and today I was going to go over Stormboyz and Flash Gitz. Just because two people asked me to go over these guys in the comments, so yeah, thought I'd visit both of them. I'll start with the Stormboyz. So as far as experience with these guys, I used these guys a couple times, well, more than a couple times last edition. I mainly used the formation with Zagstruck and the 3 inch Stormboyz, and I just used minimum size squads for my Stormboyz, and I just used them as a distraction, basically, just to buy a couple turns while my can wall could advance up the field and then eventually hopefully get into combat. And I found that they were really useful for that. They weren't too useful last edition for much more than that, or at least not the way I ran them. Some other people might have had more luck with them. I found that they just ended up being a little bit too much points wise for basically what was just an orc boy. And just shooter boys just tended to be better in my opinion. This edition, as far as their stats have gone, not a lot has changed with these guys, but they have benefited from the changes that have like sort of improved orcs overall, which would be no AP on the bolt guns now. So you're getting, even though it's a 6+, you're getting that 6+, and then all the different morale mitigation that you get now in the orc list. And there's quite a few options now for giving Feel No Pain in some form, generally through a pain boy, like in the instance of these guys. So we'll go over their stats, and then I actually use these guys today, and I'll go over my thoughts and how I found them. So Stormboy now, he moves 12, which he did in the last edition. Weapon skill, he's hitting on 3s, which is obviously an improvement because previously you were hitting most things on 4s. Ballistic skill, you're hitting on 5s, so nothing's changed there. Your strength and toughness 4, so obviously you got 1 extra point in strength now. 1 wound, 2 attacks, leadership 6 and a 6+ save. You can get a boss knob. This guy doesn't cost anything now apart from his weapon upgrades, so that's obviously a huge bonus for these guys. Again, the boss knob is moving 12 inches. He's hitting on 3s. He's in combat. Ballistic skill wise, he's hitting on 5s. He's strength 5, toughness 4, 2 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 7, and a 6+ save. The boss knob himself, he obviously can take all the regular weapons that knobs can take, so the combi weapons, the kill saws, all that sort of stuff. So he's you can make him fairly choppy if you want to. The squad can get up to 30 strong. The boys are armed with slugger, chopper, and stick bomb. Stick bomb is a 6-inch grenade that you can throw. D6 shots, strength 3, AP 0, and 1 damage each. Chopper, obviously we know what choppers do, they just add an additional attack, so these guys will have 3 attacks each. And the slugger, well, that's not changed. Range 12, pistol 1, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. As far as abilities go, they've got the Here We Go rule, so they can reroll failed charges, and also the mob rule, so they use their mob size for leadership or the mob size of a larger mob nearby for leadership. They also have the full throttle rule, which allows them to, you can advance and still charge, but if you do that, you roll a dice for each model in the unit, and on the roll of a 1, that model suffers a mortal wound, so effectively you're just removing a boy, unless you've got some sort of Feel No Pain nearby to mitigate that. As far as my experience with these guys in 8th edition, I used them today. I used a unit of 15 backed up by Boss Zagstruck. And my list included 6 killer cans with Grotzukas, the Mecha Dread, and the Lobbers. And I ran I think it's the Vanguard detachment, so 3 heavy support choices. And yeah, I thought they were pretty good. Basically what I did was I was running the Mecha with a custom force field, had all these guys within 9 inches just sort of going up the field behind it. As soon as I got close, my opponent, which was my mate, he was running a Raven Guard list, which had, I think his name's Shrike, whoever their commander guy is, who's pretty cool. He was up in the sky along with a unit of veterans. And then on the field he had a land speeder Storm with some scouts in there, and 2 units of scouts in ruins. One unit had 5 sniper rifles and the other one had a missile launcher. And then he had a venerable dreadnought with an assault cannon. And you know, in the previous edition, I mean, his list probably would have been run over by my list, even though my list in the previous edition wouldn't have been any good. But in this edition, actually, it was I had to play really cagey, mainly because the scouts had quite a lot of zone control. Oh, that's the other thing he also had 3 scout bikers with these grenade launchers, and they were strength 6, d6 damage or something. So they were pretty strong. Yeah, and I just had to play really cagey. The Stormboyz, you know, I had to make sure they were always within 9 inches of the Mecha Dread. But as soon as I got within striking distance, I used my full throttle. I basically flew over the top of the cam wall, did my advance. I had to actually use a command point to get a decent distance on that, and then did the full throttle to get the charge into the sniper scouts. I wiped them out, and then I just went into the other unit as well, and basically I just cleaned up all of his scout units. Later in the battle, he tried to take out this Stormboy unit with his bikers, but then I had 2 command points left, which I burnt to attack out of order, and killed those bikers as well before they could attack. So it ended up being really good. It was a really fun battle, and yeah, my Stormboyz actually ended up pretty much winning me the game, just because they were able to take out those scouts and stuff, and stop his zone control, and you know, especially because he kept on threatening my Zagstruck, and I needed that guy just to give these guys immunity and morale. So that's my 8th edition experience with them. I thought they were pretty good. They're only 9 points a model, so they're a bargain, I think, for what you get. They just do need a little bit of extra support, either in a custom force field or with a pain boy or something like that. So anyway, moving on to the next unit is the Flash Gitz. As far as my experience with Flash Gitz, I don't have very much. I've only ever versed these guys at a tournament. There was a guy who used to run, I think it was a pretty big unit of these guys, I think it was 10, with Captain Budruck. In my experience, these guys are basically just knobs with really cool guns, or that's what they were last edition. I think that you could give them upgrades which allowed them to hit at ballistic skill 4, but I think also their guns might have overheated or something like that. I remember there was something that made me not really, I wasn't really drawn to this unit. When I versed them with the guy, he actually just used them, like, you know, he just shot away as he come running towards you, and then just got into combat with them. So he used them basically as just a sort of semi-shooty knob unit. But I think that he probably would have been better served just using a unit of knobs, in my opinion, because they were sort of cheaper. But anyway, let's have a look and see how they've changed in the new edition. So now they are 27 points base, a model. So that's fairly pricey, but let's have a look and see what you get for that. So their movement wise, they're moving 5 inches, so that's the same as every other orc. Weapon skill, they're hitting on 3s. Ballistic skill, they're hitting on 4s now, so that's an improvement right there. Strength, they're strength 5, toughness 4, 2 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 6, and a 6+ save. These guys get a leader called a captain, spelled with a K. Movement 5, he's hitting on 3s in combat, hitting on 4s with his shooting, strength 5, toughness 4, 2 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 6, and a 6+ save. So that's a little bit of a change. Normally your boss knobs give you an extra point in leadership, so not getting that is a little bit rough, I think, for these guys. So you will probably want to, even though it's only 1 point, you might want to keep a larger unit nearby so they can take advantage of that mob rule, or some sort of mitigation. They can also take ammo runs, so each flash kit can take an ammo run. Ammo runs allow you, I think, to re-roll misses, and they're spent that way, I believe. But you can also use them as ablative wounds. They've got the same toughness as the orcs in the unit. As far as the flash kits, they're armed with snaz guns and stick bombs. So you've got the grenade throw thing again, so 6 inches. But their grenade is actually only D3. I don't know why. It's strength 3, AP 0, and 1 damage. So that seems like their stick bomb being D3. I think that's a little bit of a needless nerf. But anyway, let's have a little look at the snaz gun here, which is really what you're interested in. The snaz gun is 24-inch range, heavy 3, strength 5, AP -2, and damage 1. So a fairly decent profile. Basically a heavy bolter with only 24-inch range, and an extra point in AP. As far as abilities go, they got the Here We Go rule, mob rule, so you get to reroll failed charges, use the mob size for leadership. Ammo runts, so that's what I was telling you before. You get to you can use the ammo runts as ablative wounds if you want to, and then they have another rule called gun crazy show-offs. So after this unit has shot in the shooting phase, roll a d6. On a 6, all models in the unit must immediately shoot again, but can only target the nearest enemy unit. So I think that's a fairly strong ability right there. Obviously it's only going off on a 6, so in your average game, if you're unlucky, you may only ever get that ability off once. But when it does go off, you are probably going to bring a reasonable amount of pain with the strength 5 -2 to people save, and even though it's only 1 damage, it's still not too bad. But still, I think these guys might not be so great. And the only reason why I say that is because it's just only 1 damage on their gun, even though it's -2 to saves. I don't think that's worth it, especially with these guys only being leadership 6, only having a maximum unit strength of 10, and I think that you're still better off just taking the looters with the def guns, because I think that they're strength 7 D3 damage, and a longer range. I think it's 48, which is a little bit of a shame because these models are super cool. But obviously, if you already own the models and you want to go with a freebooter style list, then these guys are, obviously these guys aren't too bad to stick on the table. Strength 5 guns are always useful, and if you roll that 6, then you're going to be laughing with the 6 shots per guy. Possible 60 shots coming from 10 of these guys, but you're going to pay for it. So in points, nearly 300 points for the squad. So yeah, as far as support options, I mean, I've already sort of gone over them as I reviewed the units, but basically you've got your for your Stormboyz, you've got your Pain Boys on bikes, you've got your big mechs on bikes, just to keep up with them. Or if you've got a Mecha Dread, then that's also a useful option. I think also one of either the Gorkanaut or the Morkanaut can take a custom force field, so one of those as well is pretty good, because all these units have about an 8-inch movement or so they can almost keep pace with the Stormboyz. And then with the 9 inches on the custom force field, it's not too restricting on the Stormboyz. As far as the Flash Gitz go, well, I think that a really viable tactic with them, which is, I suppose, the same with a lot of those things like the Burner Boys and the Looters, is stick them in the battle wagon just for that extra, it's like basically 16 extra wounds. It's keep it open top so you can just shoot out the top, and then just drive around the battle wagon and just let loose, or redeploy when you need to, sort of thing. I suppose you don't want to be driving around too much because it'll be minusing your ballistic skill. But that would be a really good idea with the Flash Gitz, because even though you got 2 wounds each, I found in my games today that 2 wounds doesn't really last very long. So you're still relatively squishy. You wanna stick these guys into some sort of transport, whether it's a truck or a battle wagon. Then that would be really useful. And obviously, and with your Flash Gitz, just your Pain Boy on foot would be good for that as well, and same with your big mech on foot as well with the custom force field. Anyway, guys, hopefully you liked the videos. If you do, please like and subscribe. If you want me to go over any of the other entries in the Xenos book, please just let me know in the comments. We've only got 3 days to go, 2 days to go until this is all released, so I am super pumped to get into my Games Workshop store and get some more games in. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys, and I'll catch you later.